Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In this video, we will discuss about switch case statements. In our previous videos, we have learned about if case statement. We have discussed how do you write if else statement in your program. Switch case is a special keyword with C# which you can use as an alternate to if case statement. Now, if it is alternates for if statement, then in which scenario we should be using switch case, in which scenario we should be using switch case statement. Well, when you have a list of, when you have multiple sequence of switch case statement selects a statement list to execute based on the pattern matches with the match expression, or in alternate, or if you have a complicated logic written by if case, then it is likely possible that those if statement can be rewritten smoothly with the help of switch case statement. In this console application, I'll give you a walkthrough with the syntax of starting from the syntax of the switch case statement. The syntax of the switch case statement is the switch keyword, as it is the reserved keyword. This is the IntelliSense highlights that you can use the switch case with this particular keyword. If I press double tap on this will give me a pseudocode to define my switch case. Here in the switch case option, you can define the expression or the data. Here in this bracket, you can pass the data which is required to be evaluated by your switch cases. Now this data could be a single number or single value which you would like to evaluate. For example, the value which we are retrieving it from the console application program on line number 13. And then you have the default case or the default block which is going to be executed if no conditions are going to be meet with the number which you are passing. If you would like to evaluate the condition based on a specific data, then you can write the different cases like this. Each case should terminate with the help of break keyword. So break is another jump statement keyword with C# which you can use to break the block of code or terminate the block of code which is right now executing. So in this case, this switch case block is our block of code. When the compiler executes this code, and as soon as it hits this break statement, the code will jump directly outside of this switch statement. So I could have multiple cases like this, and in between the case and the break statement, I can write my logic, whatever I want to do. Now these are my 4 different statements which I am using depending upon the expression in which my code will be executed. Of course, it depends upon the data which you are providing to your switch case block. Now, if you look at here, these 2 cases are showing an error. The reason for that is because we are not using a unique case value within my switch case, and that is where it is complaining about it. So I need to use a unique value apart from the value which I have already used, and then our error will be gone. Now if I run again, now if we run the program and provide the number between 0 to 2, either of these statements will be executed. If the number is anything apart from these 3 numbers, then the default case should be executed. Let's try and run. I'll pass the number value as in 1, and you can see that as soon as I pass the value as in 1, it has executed the console write line with hi, good afternoon. Now with these switch cases, I could have multiple statements written like it's similar to the if expression. So in the if curly braces, we were able to write multiple expressions or multiple line of code. Similarly, in between the case and a break statement, you can write as many as line of the code. If I re-enter again, this is what I'm getting it right now, and the code works fine. Let's take another example of the switch cases. Here in this case, we are using multiple cases with our switch case. So the case 1 says, and if number is less than 0 and number is greater than 100, then do this, otherwise you run this default condition. If you try and run this, it will evaluate the condition. Let's say if I press -1, it says measured values -1 out of the accepted range. Similarly, if I enter 101, which is beyond 100, so it says it is not acceptable. Whereas if I enter anything between 1 to 99, then it will work fine. Measured value is 99 and it is working perfectly fine. So in a short, you can combine multiple cases to evaluate your expression as well, like you do in the if cases as well. Obviously, if I will try and write another case statement here or something like this, then my compiler will throw an error because it knows that this case we have already used it here, so you cannot use the same case here. Even if I change the value to, let's say, 101, not the exact value, with number greater than 104, then it should go to here. My C# compiler throws an error. It says that the switch case is unreachable. It has already been handled by a previous case, or it is impossible to match. So you have to be careful about it. Now, one more thing is you can have a method inside these case and break statement. If you want to call any method, like we call a method inside this if and else condition, you can also call a method. Anyways, this console.writeLine is itself is a method or the static method of this console class. You can also have a nested switch cases, like in between these cases I can have another switch case, like we do with the if cases. We write the nested if loop. I'll give you one more example of the switch case, which is a new implemented, which is interesting one. So here is one example in which we are making, or we are calling these functions, and this function has this implementation. It is taking two arguments, one integer a and integer b, and within the switch case we are accepting both these numbers, and here in the cases we are evaluating the number values. So before the comma, a is going to be evaluated, which means that if a is greater than 0 and b is also greater than 0, then this will fall under this particular case. Next case, if a is greater than 0 and b is also greater than 0, then it will fall under this case, otherwise it will go on to the default case. Now if you look at the cases, both of them are having the same value, greater than 0, but this time it is working fine, whereas the previous case when I tried writing the same cases, I was getting an error. Well, in this case we are using another reserve keyword, which is a constraint with if condition. So we are basically measuring the value of the switch data which we are receiving with the when keyword, and what we are saying, if this condition is matched and when this a and b are equal, then this case will be applicable, otherwise it will not be applicable. So if I try and run this function, it will run two times, as we are calling this function two times, one with value 5 and 6. As the value 5 and 6, both of them are greater than 0, so we got the message as in first measurement is 5, second is 6, both the measurement are valid and equal to 5, because in this case both a and b are equal, so it is going under this particular block. So this is another way you can use the switch cases with your C# program. I hope you have got some idea about the switch cases and how to use them. If it is, please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching it. See you in the next video.